Hi, my name is Jaden Replogle, and I'm going to be talking about a topic or going over a topic that we're probably all a little too well versed in, and that is doom scrolling. I want to first ask a question, and then I'm going to share a quick experience, and then I want to share some research and really just make sure that I'm giving a well rounded image of why I think it's important that we address the issues that are created from social media. So the question is do we not have enough time or do we not make enough time? Now, it's a great question and a humbling question that you may have to ask yourself or you have been asked before. Now, I was asked that question by my wife, and I've been asked that question many times when she sees them scrolling on Instagram, ESPN, any kind of sports channel, typically, and those kind of social medias are where I used to spend the majority of my time. And I remember one time my wife asked me if I would delete social media for a week and see what would happen in our relationship, in my day-to-day tasks, and how I would be able to accomplish and be able to fulfill my roles and responsibilities and liabilities and all those stuff in between. Now, at first it was a little frustrating. I would find myself many times pulling my phone out of my pocket, not really having any intent on going to a certain app, Googling something, using a calculator, checking the calendar. I would just pull my phone out of habit and would find myself looking for, scrolling side to side, trying to find those apps and then realizing and remembering the goal that I had set myself. And that was also something that I very quickly was able to diagnose or self-diagnose was how often had I found myself just pulling my phone out, looking around, trying to find something to do, not with a plan, or how often I would find myself eventually on one of those social media platforms and not really remember how I got there or more embarrassingly, how long I had been there. But after I was able to get rid of those apps and try it out for a week, I realized that me and my wife had better conversations, more in-depth conversations, and our relationship got better. And honestly, my stress and anxiety had gone down quite a bit. And there's some pretty interesting research that supports my feelings and emotions that I had during that time. Now, some critical questions that I want to ask and get you thinking about, and that I want to talk about and pose my ideas, thoughts, and research that I have found on addressing these concerns. So the first one would be, what can be done with the time that you lose to doom scrolling? Second question would be, what relationships are you hurting or foregoing due to the relationship you have with your phone and that little device that seems to take up so much of our time? Now, some research would support or comment on the first problem. How much time do we actually spend on social media? In the OBB ball market.com, there was some research and studies that show that the average American over the age of 17 spends 2 hours and 17 minutes per day, and that the average adolescent between the ages of 14 and 17 would spend upwards of 4 to 5 hours a day on social media and platforms as such. The second, relative to our relationships, both externally, for my example of I talked about my spouse, but also those negatively affected by social media, such as children. With the from the HHS government, the Surgeon General, that is, there was some studies that showed that children and adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media face double the risk of mental health problems, including and experiencing symptoms of depression and anxiety. We all know of those people who post on their social media. Typically, we get extremes. You get the, I'm having the best day, I'm having a phenomenal retreat or vacation in Jamaica, and here are pictures of my food and my hotel and everything like that. But then you also get the negative side of social media where there are all these horrible things going on in the world, people sharing these horrible experiences that they're personally going through. And I understand there's a lot of hardship out there, and maybe some people find relief in sharing with the world what's going on with them. But typically we get extremes, which as far as our emotions and our mental state can be a toll on ourselves. And sometimes we put ourselves in that situation to put our mind in a state of distress because we either see the good in the world and we are resentful, jealous, have animosity towards that, and then the negative side of things where we just that, it's negative. We see too much and two polar opposites of a life there. Now, the question really that remains is, will we make time for those that we love? Now, kind of a jarring thought is going back to that 2 hours and 16 minutes a day that we spend on social media and doom scrolling, and that's the average person. Some people are more. I invite you to maybe take a peek of your activity log in your phone and see how much time you spend on those devices, and where you can redirect that time that is wasted per se on those apps and focus on relationships or tasks, or even if that relationship is with yourself. Now, if you think about it, 2 hours and 16 minutes a day, if you take that for an entire year, you'll log additional 34 days, a little more than 34 days. A year, you'll get back of your life. And think about how much time and that can, or how much of that time can be spent on bettering the relationships in your life, both those near and far, as well as how much negative emotions are created because of that 34 days a year that you're spending on social media, scrolling your life away. I invite us all, including myself, to continue focusing on our relationships and ourselves and our to-do list, our requirements, our responsibilities in life, and how much time you really will find in this world to better yourself and those around you. Thanks for your time. I hope you find more time in your life to better yourself and those around you. Bye-bye.